Pieces is a puzzle game for the Super Nintendo where you solve jigsaw puzzles. This was the first game developed by Prism Kikaku, a company that would later be known as Nippon Ichi Software or Japan No. 1 Software. NIS changed its name for every other game released following Pieces. Nippon Ichi Software would become notable several generations later for creating the Disgaea series, as well as having published more tactical RPGs than any other company currently. In the last 2 years, the company has become more well known for publishing a slew of Japanese games that normally would never make it to North American shores. Pieces is pretty much a straight-up jigsaw puzzle game with a few modifiers that make the game actually pretty fun. I'm personally not a really big fan of jigsaw puzzles, but thanks to a few things they did to this game, it's much more enjoyable than doing a real jigsaw puzzle. The game is played in a versus-style match against the AI or another player. The first person to complete 3 puzzles in a row faster than the other player wins. Prior to playing Pieces, I was a little concerned about the difficulty of the AI. I'm pretty bad at doing jigsaw puzzles, so I figured this would be overly difficult, but it's actually pretty playable. At least for the first few levels. Unfortunately, after a few levels, the AI hits pretty high speeds that make it really hard to compete with. This makes the game much more suited for the 2-player game mode since the AI quickly becomes godlike a few levels in. A major benefit the game gives you is that it will show you every piece shape on the board, so you'll have an idea of where it goes as soon as you pick it up. You're able to choose between 3 jigsaw pieces at a time, and it's usually easiest to lay out the sides of the picture first, just like in a real jigsaw puzzle. I think if this game was in high definition, it would help a lot because it'd be easier to make out the minute differences between pieces that are on the board, but for the most part it still works well. The pictures you lay out are usually pretty generic and uninteresting, ranging from fish to dinosaurs to airplanes. However, from time to time you'll run into a game cover, for instance the cover of Atlas's Rocking Cats on the NES, which is about the coolest pictures you'll run into. Aside from having an idea of the general layout of the puzzle, you'll also get abilities that appear on the left side of the screen. These abilities are obtained by dropping puzzle pieces down quickly on their correct spot. Missing a spot won't grant any points towards getting an ability. Generally, if you're quick enough, you'll get a new ability on your bar for every 2 pieces you drop correctly. As you fill the ability bar, the abilities become better and better, and if you use one of the higher level abilities, it'll consume all the abilities beneath it. The abilities are both offensive and defensive. Offensive moves include erasing an opponent's pieces that are already in place, reversing their D-pad controls, or making their cursor pause and go every other second. Each of these abilities usually lasts about 5 seconds each. Defensive abilities include one that'll show you where the next 3 pieces go, one that adds a helper hand that'll lay down pieces as you lay down pieces, and another that'll automatically place pieces as you click on them on the top bar. The combination of all these abilities and the versus nature of this game make it a pretty heart-pounding puzzle game, believe it or not. It's somewhat reminiscent of Tetris Attack, and although it's not nearly as good as Tetris Attack, it's still a pretty solid puzzle game that's totally worth owning. You can also find its name on the very small list of SNES mouse-compatible games, which gives you a reason to bust out the old Mario Paint mouse that's gathering dust. Pieces' music isn't half bad either. It's easy on the ears, even though it's repeated a lot. It's upbeat, fun, and somewhat complex, and it really helps keep you focused on laying down these jigsaw pieces. The soundtrack I wouldn't say is memorable, but it does work for the game, and it is what it needs to be. Graphically, Pieces is on the poor side. The images the game displays for the puzzles are pretty hazy, and the user interface isn't exactly good looking either. The characters that you battle and talk to before each fight do look good, however they're probably the best looking parts of the game. According to PriceCharting.com, Pieces is worth $11 loose. This is actually a pretty fair price, it's fun enough to merit the price, and the game is also fairly uncommon, being the 15th most rare game on the SNES according to RarityGuide.com. This makes Pieces one of the cheapest rare games on the Super Nintendo. Overall, Pieces is a really fun puzzle game, even though it doesn't seem like it would be. It has the fast-paced versus nature of Tetris Attack and has enough modifiers to doing a jigsaw puzzle that it's actually a pretty decent package. This is a totally worthwhile puzzle game on the Super Nintendo, and also worth checking out if you're into competitive puzzle games.